congrats on the non-league. Was it, I guess, a bit of a reward for a solid chunk of form for you?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just a bit of reward for a bit of a block of work that I've done this year, and yeah, it's nice to get a bit of recognition. But yeah, team success is main focus going into this back end of the year.
Not forefront of your mind then, this sort of thing?
No.
Do players talk about it though? Like, or maybe not you, but your other teammates, whatever. If you have a good game, they say, surely this week you get the non-league?
Oh, sometimes, not really. It's not really on our minds, but no, everyone wants each other to do well, and I didn't actually know I was still eligible, so I wasn't really expecting it, to be honest.
Does it maybe mean, I know you say it's not about the individual stuff, but does it maybe mean a bit more than whether if you debut round one in your first season and come out and have 20 and 2, you've had to work at it a bit more and get your body right and all those sorts of things to get recognition now? Is it how pleasing is that? Yeah,
it definitely is pleasing. Obviously, been through a bit the last couple of years and a bit of injury and even a bit of form stuff and just finding myself in the team. I think it's nice, to get a bit of recognition this week, and had an alright season so far, and hopefully can finish the year off well as well.
You've spoken about it a bit, but what do you think's been the catalyst for you this year to finally get going?
Just knowing my role on the side and working pretty closely with Riles as a forward, and then even just recently, the last sort of month and a bit, I've done a bit more work with VB as a mid and sort of trying to learn my craft and eventually, hopefully, one day play midfield and still forward. But just being clear in my role has been able to help me play some decent footy and also getting my body right and that sort of side of things as well.
So I was just going to ask about the belief factor. I mean, it might take a while for a younger player to believe they belong at the level. Has that been the case for you, or are you always confident that once you got there that you would belong?
Sort of. You're always a little bit confident and know that you can play at the level, otherwise I don't think you'd be in the industry. But just, getting my body right was the main thing for me with my mindset. I knew if I could get that right and just work on behind the scenes and playing my role as a forward, that I could play at AFL level. And my first few games were a little bit rough and I probably wasn't ready at that stage, carrying a few injuries and so forth. But coming to this season, doing a pre-season block has been great for me and held me in good stead this season.
What was the main injury that held you back, and what was sort of key to getting your body right?
I've had 2 shoulder recos in 3 years, so that's a long sort of 6 months of rehab, and then there's just little things as well that pop up. I've sort of carried groins for a good couple of years, and just trying to get my core and all my muscles around my groins strong, that's what I had to get done before I could play at the elite level.
You mentioned the early days. I think your second game was the Docklands against the Bombers. Was that, a couple of years ago now, but how do you look back on that now? Is that a bit of a blur now, or?
It's not really a blur. It was probably one of the hardest games I've ever played in, to be honest. But we're a different side now and we've developed as a group. So I'm looking forward to tackling them this weekend, and we sort of need to win if we want to play finals for the end of the year. So it's a great challenge for us, and our mindset's towards Essendon this week. But I don't think too much about the game in the past, but I think we'll do a lot better than we did last time.
And the venue itself, there's been a lot talked about the away record, but everyone's pointing out that you have played good footy on the road, but just haven't really got over the line apart from the Hawks game. But is there a belief now that you can take the Adelaide Oval form interstate? Yeah,
it definitely is. Obviously, we haven't got the job done a few times away from home, but Collingwood are probably one of the best sides in the last 2 years pretty easily, and we matched with them on the big stage, so hopefully it's no different this weekend against Essendon, and we'll do our study, and we know how they want to play. They're quite an attacking side through the corridor, and we just get some things right. I think we'll be very competitive and come away with the win.
You mentioned that a bit more time in the midfield. What do you think you bring to that mix?
Obviously there's a good mix of us in there now, having Lairdy and Sloaney in there with a bit more experience, and Dawson's quite versatile as well. He can sort of play anywhere on the ground, and my sort of forte, just a bit more contests and just working on those clearance numbers for now and just keeping it pretty simple, and then I'll do work into a bit more transition work later on, possibly next year, end of this year. So.
Just back on the Docklands Stadium, I guess it gets considered as being a fast track with the ball pinging around a fair bit. you mentioned Essendon like to attack, but do you think that'll suit the way you guys play too? Because when you get it clicking, it's humming around the place, isn't it?
Yeah, it is for sure, but I think on the weekend got into a bit of a shootout with North Melbourne in the first half, and yeah, we kicked 71 points, but they also kicked 55, so we don't really want the game to be played like that, and when our defence is at its strongest, we attack well from that, so we'll come into this week and hopefully defend really well and keep them to a low score, and our offence should be flowing.
You want to look at the ladder and permutations and all that sort of thing, or?
Just probably each game as it is. We don't really look too far ahead. Just take what we can. Essendon this week.